Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, A Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today I'm going to read a few portions from the chapter The Only Way I Could Get Myself Organized, from the book How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling, written by Frank Bettger. So the title is How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. This is a classic book on sales, and not just sales. It's a book on positive thinking. It's a book on how to get organized. It's a book on how to improve our communication skills, how to be more enthusiastic in whatever we do. So this is a classic, and I recommend it. I think everyone should buy this and read it so that we could become more enthusiastic. We could plan our day in a better way, and we could develop our communication skills, and especially this fear of speaking in public. So there are tips for that as well in this book. So buy this book and read it. So I'm going to focus on this important thing of this very important thing that we need in our lives, that is how to get ourselves organized so that we don't waste our time and we make full use of the greatest resource given to us, which is time. But each day we get these 24 hours that we could either use or lose or misuse. So the right way of living is to use this time that has been given to us by God. So let's first read a few portions from this, and then we'll discuss these things in some detail. So let me select a few major portions from this book. It's like a 4 or 5 page chapter, so I'll just choose some major portions and then we'll discuss them. Not long after I began keeping records, I discovered that I was one of the world's poorest self-organizers. I had set a goal of 2,000 calls for the year at the rate of 40 a week, but I soon got so hopelessly behind that I was ashamed to put down any records. My intentions were good. I kept making new resolutions, but they never lasted very long. I just couldn't get organized. I mean, many of us have felt this. We are very enthusiastic about doing certain things, but then we don't do them precisely because we don't have a proper schedule that we have devised for ourselves or that we have evolved for ourselves. Finally, I got it through my head that I must take more time for planning. It was easy to throw 40 or 50 prospect cards together and think I was prepared. That didn't take much time, but to go back over records, study each call carefully, plan exactly what I would say to each person, prepare proposals, write letters, and then make out a schedule. Now, schedule has different pronunciations: schedule, and then schedule, and then schedule. But I prefer the pronunciation schedule, so I'll pronounce it that way. And then make out a schedule arranging each day's calls. Monday to Friday in their proper order required 4 to 5 solid hours of the most intensive kind of work. So I set aside Saturday morning and called it Self-Organization Day. Did this plan help me? Listen, each Monday morning when I started at, instead of having to drive myself to make calls, make calls in a sense like meeting people in sales. In sales, they have this term called calls, right? I walked in to see men with confidence and enthusiasm. I was eager and anxious to see them because I had thought about them, studied their situation, and had some ideas I believed might be of value to them. At the end of the week, instead of feeling exhausted and discouraged, I actually felt exhilarated and on fire with the excitement that next week I could do even better. After a few years, I was able to move my self-organization day up to Friday morning. then knock off the rest of the week, forgetting business entirely until Monday morning. It is surprising how much I can get done when I take enough time for planning, and it is perfectly amazing how little I get done without it. I prefer to work on a tight schedule, 4.5 days a week, and get somewhere than to be working all the time and never get anywhere. So, tight schedule has its own benefits. I read that Henry L. Doherty, I don't know how the surname is pronounced, Henry L. Doherty, the great industrialist, said, I can hire men to do everything but two things, except two things: think and do things in the order of their importance. That was my trouble precisely. However, after solving that problem each week for so many years, I believe the real answer is simply this: take enough time to think and plan. So I evolved for myself a weekly timetable, a form giving the days of the week across the top and the words morning, lunch, afternoon, and evening down the side. So the row had the days of the week, and the columns had morning, lunch. So there were time segments for certain activities. So morning, lunch, afternoon, and evening down the side. These are the columns. These are the rows. I also kept a card index with a record card for every week, giving at view details of the calls made, the business done, and the commission earned. Yes, I can hear you say, that's not for me. I can't do that sort of thing, live on a schedule. I wouldn't be happy. Well, I've got good news for you. You are already living on a schedule. And if it's not a planned one, it's probably a poor one. So whether we plan a schedule or not, whether we plan our week or not, we already have a plan. And that plan is a very poor one because it's not organized. And we haven't given much thought to how we are going to live our week ahead. Now let me skip a few sections and let me come to this concept called the 6 o'clock club. A number of years ago, I read that Ben Franklin said that only a few men live to old age, and fewer still ever become successful who are not early risers. So I set my alarm clock an hour and a half earlier in the morning. An hour of that time I used for reading and study. Of course, I soon found myself going to bed earlier, but I thrived on it. So the 6 o'clock club means that you get up at 6 a.m., 6 in the morning. I think there was a recent book called the 5 a.m. Club, if I'm not mistaken, by Robin Sharma. So we have this concept of 6 o'clock club, but you can customize it based on your requirements. I mean, you can get up at 5 or 5:30 or 4. Now let me come to the way the IBM Corporation trained its salesmen or salespersons. Not long ago, I interviewed one of the executives of the International Business Machines Corporation, a company which holds one of the highest ratings in the world for sales training methods. I asked him how important they consider their weekly worksheet. He said, Mr. Bettger, we furnish our salesmen with certain tools which we know are essential to their success. Our number one tool is a weekly worksheet, which must be completed by the salesman, giving the names of all the people they plan to see during the coming week, and a copy must be turned over to us in advance of each week's work. Do you enforce this rule in all of the 79 countries in which you operate? I asked. Absolutely, he replied. So they had this concept of the weekly worksheet, which every salesperson had to fill in. Now let me move on to the last part which I want to read from this. And this is a poem that Frank Bettger suggests that we memorize. So know it by heart. Let me read the poem. There may be nothing wrong with you, the way you live, the work you do, but I can very plainly see exactly what is wrong with me. It isn't that I'm indolent or dodging duty by intent. I work as hard as anyone, and yet I get so little done. The morning goes, the noon is here, before I know, the night is near, and all around me I regret are things I haven't finished yet. If I could just get organized, I oftentimes have realized not all that matters is the man. The man must also have a plan. With you, there may be nothing wrong, but here is my trouble right along. I do the things that don't amount to very much of no account, that really seem important though, and let a lot of matters go. I nibble this, I nibble that, but never finish what I'm at. I work hard. I work as hard as anyone, and yet I get so little done. I do so much you'd be surprised if I could just get organized. So memorize this poem. I think I'll make a short video, shorts you call it, right, in YouTube. So I'll make a short video of it and upload it to my channel, so you can just maybe you can just memorize that. So I'll also have the text in that video. So this is what I wanted to read, and now let's just discuss this very important concept of self-organization and importance of schedule, and about the 6 o'clock club and the weekly worksheet and so on. So the first thing is, we all are living on a schedule. We already have a plan, but if we haven't thought about it, we haven't put it on paper, or nowadays it's the time of computers and Excel sheets and all these different planning tools. So if we haven't put our plan on an Excel sheet, or if we haven't thought about them and somehow recorded our plan somewhere, then we already have a plan, and that's a poor plan, because we can't visualize it, we can't see it, and we cannot analyze and assess our performance. That is, assess whether we did what we planned to do, and where we failed, where we succeeded, how we could become better. So there's no self-improvement at all in living on no plan at all. I mean, living on a schedule that's unplanned. So the first thing that we need to do in order to get self-organized is draw up a schedule, come up with a schedule. So for that, there are certain tips that Frank Bettger suggests. That one is that you get up a bit early in the morning. So maybe you can get up at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. You can join the 5 a.m. club, or join the 6 a.m. club. So early risers usually live longer, and they have more time in their hands, because they can read a bit about their profession, they can think, they can meditate, they can do some exercise. So early rising is a great habit, and it can improve your lifestyle, improve your life. And the other thing that Frank Bettger mentions is that he used to have this weekly worksheet or weekly timetable. So he talks about how the salespeople at IBM used to be asked by their managers to come up with this weekly worksheet, so that they had a plan before they started their week. And this is what makes weekends exciting, actually. On weekends, if you can spend some time planning what you're going to do Monday through Friday, that makes your entire week exciting, right? An exciting week lies ahead of you. But if you don't know what you're going to do, then you get up on Monday morning, you're confused, you're not very sure how to start the week. That's why we call it the Monday blues, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That is, you have this kind of slightly feeling that, it's called blues, which means some kind of slight depression. I don't know whether that's the right term, or slightly discouraged and disheartened. That's because we don't have a plan, and we are not excited about our job. So if you plan everything, and if you go ahead and do your job with excitement and enthusiasm, then the Mondays need not be a problem, and Fridays need not be a celebration, because Monday through Friday you'll be excited about your work. So just come up with your own worksheet. As he suggests, you have these columns on top. So you have one column for each day. The first column will be for the time segment, where you'll mention these time segments. That's up to you, whether you want to have larger time segments or maybe smaller time segments. so that some people can plan, every hour of the week, but that's a little difficult because sometimes we might have some unexpected tasks to do. So one better way is to have large chunks of time, so that morning chunk could be for 2-3 hours, and then lunch maybe 1 hour, afternoon and evening, and so on. So that way you can look forward to an exciting week. And then you can memorize this poem on getting organized, which Frank Bettger did, and it helped me a lot. And the other thing is, people who are busy, who work on a tight schedule, usually don't get depressed, because if you see people who are worried about their problems, or kind of get paralyzed when they face problems, they would do better if they had a plan, a weekly plan, so that they are involved in some activities, because our minds need something to work on. Mind and body and speech, everything needs to have some kind of goal towards which all these three are proceeding. So if you have these goals, these weekly goals, right, a weekly timetable, is actually a kind of method of reaching your goals. So these are activities that take you closer to your goal. So when you are involved in these things, you think, you act, and you're busy, and you can keep yourself away from negative thinking, and you can, I think, avoid depression as well. So these are the benefits of being organized. So let me, in conclusion, recapitulate. So a great way of living our lives is to live on a tightly defined or designed schedule. So one thing you can do to live on a schedule is you can complete your weekly worksheet on weekends, or maybe Friday evenings. So you can evolve for yourself a weekly timetable where you plan your everyday from Monday through Friday. I mean, if you want, you can include weekends as well. That's up to you. But if for your work, you need to have this Monday through Friday plan, and you live on a tightly defined or designed schedule. That way you'll accomplish more, you'll do more. That's why I think he quotes one person where he says, we hire people, but then we except these two things, we cannot. We can teach them every other thing. I think I'm just talking about the drift of that quotation. So he said, one thing is that we cannot make them think, and we cannot force them to do things in the order of their importance. So I think, let me get the exact quotation so I'm not kind of misleading you. It's better to have this clearly understood. So let me get the quotation. Yeah, I read that he is quoting an industrialist. The great industrialist said, I can hire men to do everything. Okay, so this is what he wanted to say. So he can hire men to do everything but two things. So he cannot make them do these two things. He can hire them to do every other thing, but he cannot make them do these two things, which is to think, and to the other thing is to do things in their order of importance. So that's what a plan does, right? It makes you think, and it makes you do things in the order of their importance, so you can evolve your own weekly timetable. And the next thing you can do is you can memorize the poem that's mentioned towards the end of that chapter. So I hope you like this video. Just come up with your weekly schedule. The weekend is near. In fact, it's a weekend now, right? Saturday. It's Saturday morning now, and it's about 6 a.m., 6:23 a.m. So 23 past 6 a.m. So what you can do is you can maybe open your Excel sheet, or you can buy a notebook, or if you already have one, just open it and kind of draw a table and plan your weekly schedule. Just try it for a week and see whether it makes a great difference in your performance or not, in your output, in your enthusiasm. I'm sure it will do that. I've tried it and it works wonders because you use your time extremely well, and especially if you have a looming deadline, a deadline that's impending, you can use this method and become extremely productive. So thanks for watching this video.